What's going on, everybody? Welcome back, gentlemen. So it's finally the weekend, and as we all know, we're jumping into changing them lower control arms on the 2009 Hemi Ram. Now, I know we got the blue truck to do, but seeing as we drive, my son and I drive this to work every day, we're gonna have to do the blue truck next weekend. So we already know the issue I had with the shipping. I went to O'Reilly's, bought the grease fitting, problem solved, $6.48. It ain't really worth throwing a fit over it. Now, we're gonna jump underneath the wheel. I already got it jacked up on jack stands, got both front wheels blown off. We're gonna start taking this stuff apart, get them swapped out, and man, it's about time. So y'all just sit back and relax, enjoy the content, and here we go. So we're gonna start this video out a little bit different, man. So me and DIY Dad, let me rephrase that, dude. DIY Dad and I has already replaced the passenger side. We wanted to go through it and make sure that any hiccups we run into, we'll know so we can explain to you better when we do the driver's side. So I'm gonna show you the new one on the front of the truck. It's not that exciting, but I'm gonna give you a shot anyway. Then we're gonna go over what was wrong with the old one, and then, and not then, but only then, we're gonna do the driver's side. So let me give you this shot. So it is really nice for a Moog. I torqued these down to 155, dude, on both sides. So it is a nice unit. It looks real nice underneath the truck. Now let's go over how bad the other one was. So first things first, let me lay this thing down, dude. So there is play up and down in this ball joint. This ain't so bad besides the ripped boot right here, but that play right there will become an issue within, well, the end of the year. So that was one. Two, if you look, these are the bushings. So look straight at it. See how this is not center, how it's off to one side? And then you can see it's all blown out right here. Let me get you a little closer, right? And then look at the other side. So that's way off center. And then look here. You can literally see daylight through there. See my finger blocking it? So man, I'm glad I got them swapped out. I am gonna have to get a front end alignment. Look at the outside there. Terrible, dude. So I am gonna have to get an alignment probably pretty quick. Now, with that, so I'm not gonna go, I'm gonna take the caliper off, the rotor off, undo the control arm, the tie rod ends, and then I'll click y'all on and we'll do the lower ball joint and take off the spring, the shock, and the lower control arm. All right, guys, I said I wasn't gonna go through this with you. We might as well, dude. We're already here. So you can go to my upper control arm video and it'll explain a little better on what you got to do. It'll give you socket sizes also. What you need? The bolts just fight me. When you do this, don't forget to pull your brake pads out some, decompress your caliper a little bit, you know, so it'll slide back on easier whenever you get to that point. Sometimes you gotta fight these old bolts, man. They're not too friendly. There it is. All right, so DIY Dad and I hooked up this little brake caliper hang here. I think it works pretty well. Just run your caliper bolt back in there. And I do that because by the time we're done, we're gonna have a lot going on the floor. And I don't want anything to get lost. Ah, we put it on there backwards, guys. Can you believe it? Just run that in a few threads. Boom, no tension on there. Pop our rotor off real quick. So one thing you're gonna have to do, you're gonna have to disconnect your ABS line completely, right? Pull it loose, pull it from back here behind this. Your plug should be right there. See that little piece right there? So push that out, there's your plug. So your plug, can you see that? So you pull your lock up, just like that, and then depress your tab. It comes right out. Now your line's free. Whenever we get our spindle loose, we can just pull it right out of the way. So this here, I believe what we have is a 15/16 6-point socket. That's what we're rolling with this. So like always, we're gonna run it down and make sure that it'll come off, you know, because once we unseat it, we don't want it to spin. Make sure that bad boy comes off. Run it back on there a little bit. Get our handy dandy hammer. Perfect. Now we're gonna leave like that while we get the tie rod end off and we get the lower ball joint loose. We can get this spindle out of the way. Get this old Carter key. Carter key, that's kind of a weird word to say. So I call it a Carter key, like the name. This here's 13/16 rinse. You know, the good thing about doing this the other week or last weekend, or what was it, 2 weekends ago, is that not everything has had time to just sit in there and get corrosion around it. Flip your castle nut upside down. You don't ever want to forget that step. Hammer. Get that old hammer. Look at that. 2 little bumps. That's off. Put our castle, oh, going crazy here. Put our castle nut back on. Throw our Carter pin, Carter key, whatever you want to call it. Put that back in there.
C-O-T-G or Carter.
Carter. It is what it is, guys.
Yep.
Where we at here? Wrong side. This here, 15/16. And I know most of this is truly it's gonna be metric, but hey, I'm getting it done with standard, so if it works, go with it. Same principle. We're gonna back this all the way down. Whoop. And then run it back on there just a couple threads. The new one has a new bolt. So, seeing as
Jack,
the fork tool is not big enough, it is for a tie rod, right? It is not for a ball joint. So this is how we're gonna do this. I have a shaft, and we're gonna put it right beside that ball joint. And we're gonna give it some love. Tap on the spindle. Eventually it'll fall. You have to. Both sides. See, I'm hitting it right here. I'm putting my shaft right here. I'm hitting on it right by that ball joint. Turn it back the other way, other side. And so we got it popped, same method using this, except for I almost forgot one step. You have to put the jack underneath the ball joint to keep it stable. So now that we got that, go ahead and drop that jack, Dad. Whew, had the whole truck picked up with it. And make sure that bad boy set back down on that jack stand right. So, here we go, man. Let me hand this camera off. We're just gonna keep rolling with it. There's some weight on that bad boy.
Yeah.
Be ready for it. Plus, with these new bushings, that thing stands up at attention like it's supposed to. I mean, you really gotta put it, see, that thing goes right up like it's supposed to go up.
Reset.
There it is. I did have to move my ABS cable, almost whacked it, and we didn't want to do that. So the bottom one, same thing. Oh, luckily it's not spinning this time. And voila, see? It does scar up your spindle a little bit, but I mean, it is what it is, guys. It's not gonna affect the way the truck drives, so at that point, man, that's a good bet. Gonna lay that out of the way. So, what we have left. That boy, I'm glad this one held out on me, fellas. So, we have to unmount our shock from the top and from the bottom. And we got to undo our sway bar end link here. And then we're going to put the jack up under here. So when we get to that point, I'll explain it. Y'all just got to stick around, man. Just get so to take your sway bar end link off. So I don't know if these are original or not, to be honest with y'all, but they're smooth. They have nowhere to hold it. And it spins right here at the base. You can see that little washer looking thing right there. Look, let me put this socket on there. See where it spins right there? So there's no way to hold that unless you have a pair of channel locks. And the nut size on the bottom is an 18 millimeter. Come on, light. Hang in there, baby, you're fading. So I just grab it and I just pinch it. And you gotta get a good grip on it and try not to tear your boot. I put some WD-40 on there. See, we deal with a little bit of rust down here, guys. It ain't all fun and games all the time. Some things are just that way, you know? You gotta get the back of them channel locks, get them jaws to grab. Come on, Bolt, where you at? It's in there. I don't know why they decided to make them so long-winded, guys. There we go, finally. So with this here, man, just take the bolt off. Now listen, when this comes down, we start taking this top shock mount off and the control arm swings down, this will disconnect itself. Just set that off to the side. Look at that rust. Looks like a good time to me. So with that being undone, now we got to put the jack right here. So I have a 3/4 ratchet wrench, right? And then your top bolt here, or your backup, is an 8 millimeter. At least on these shocks it is. We just put that on there and then now we do have the jack under the control arm, right? Because we don't want that spring to just pop out on us. That would not be a fun situation. And if you're gonna reuse, like I'm reusing my shocks, so with that, remember how tight them shocks were. You want them to go back to right where they were, right? You don't want them to change. which I don't really consider that. I don't think it would matter, but it's just a personal thing for me. All right, we're almost there. Whew. That thing is long-winded, fellas. See, when it gets loose enough, you can just hold that barrel in there, right? So once you get to the top like that, even though we're fighting it, we're not gonna talk about that. You can just reach in there and hold that barrel. All right, made it to the top. Made it to the top, guys. So we're gonna pull that off. All right, I'm gonna hold this camera. All right, Dad, start letting that jack down. Everything should come out just as planned. Let me get out of the way, fellas. Just in case that spring goes crazy. We're just gonna step back. DIY Dad's gonna let it down slowly. See, that spring will flex. All right, hold what you got. Come on, whoop, whoop. There it goes. You see how that thing popped? Don't ever, guys, let me tell you this, dude. Do not ever stand in front of a spring that is under tension. If it releases and hits you in the head, it will literally knock the brains out of your head, man. So you seen that I stepped back and got to the side of the truck because I would rather it tear my truck up than tear my face up. So now that it's loose, go ahead and finish letting that jack down a little bit, Dad. That shock had to come out of there, and so did that sway bar end link. But do you see now the spring's loose? You can see how it's coming down right here. Watch, I'll get a hammer. Always use some, don't put your hand in there. See how that's loose? All right.
Pretty good.
So all we have to do is take the shock out. We're gonna take these bottom two bolts out, which are 13 millimeters, pull the shock out, push the control arm down, and pull the spring out. So like I stated, man, they're 13 millimeters on the bottom here. And they shouldn't be real tight. I mean, they should be tight. Don't get me wrong, it is your shock. Wow, we're going crazy over here, fellas. Should have put a little double D on them. There's one. And usually once you get one loose enough, you can probably pull it right out. See, once it gets far enough, it'll just slide right out of there and just pull it back. Voila, go ahead and pull your bolt out. You got to reuse your bolt, right? And then I'll show you here in just a second. That spring will come right out also.
Better.
And just push it down. Look, work your little cup out. Always inspect your cup. Right, make sure it looks decent, and then when you go back with it, so you have your end here, you see this pocket right here, that the new one has one too. The end's gonna set directly in there. It keeps that spring from spinning. So now we got to get our big wrenches out. It's a 15/16, and then this is a 15/16, and these bad boys are tight. But first, the most important part, we gotta mark these spots here. So they already have marks on them, but I'm gonna remark them. And something to note, mark them in 2 spots on every side. Mark 2 spots here, 2 spots there, front and back. So check it out, guys. I have, right, my big torque wrench. It's set at, what is that, 200 foot-pounds of torque, and I still cannot get these things broke loose. So I had to break out the impact, and here's my issue, right? So this one doesn't fit barely. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna back this one out and take this out, And when I take it out, I can get this one out. Now, something else. I know you can see my marks. Like I stated, mark it in 2 spots. One there, one there. There's one here and one there. And then on the outside, 1 and 1. And on this outside, 1 and 1. Mark it in 2 spots, just in case one of them gets rubbed off, you have another spot. So, here we go. Whew, let me get this wrench. It is a 15/16, which I'm sure it's probably metric. So here we go. All right. Now this outside one, it just slides on. You see how you see the keyway in there? Right? So that bolt, this through bolt right here has that same pattern on there. So they will line up the same. Now, we need a hammer. Give it a little tappy tappy. And then pull that bad boy out. Right? And then I'll show you this bolt. You see the hex on the bolt are the same design as this right here. So it's only gonna slide on there one way, right? And it's gonna be the same way. The lobes will be the same way. So with that out of the way, we should be able to get this in here. Yep, just like so. And then we're gonna hammer back. Same with that. Get our 15/16 backup wrench. And see, now that we have it marked in 2 spots, I know I keep mentioning that because it's that important, guys. We don't have to worry about, well, pretty much anything. We can set it pretty close. Hammer, get us a hammer right here. And voila, there it is. So let's check this out together. Let's pull it out here in the light. So, just like the other one, oh, sorry guys. There's more play in this one than there was the other one. The boot's ripped. That thing's pretty much shot. Now, look at that. You see where it's blown out here on the side? Man, I've been having a lot of vibration too. The bottom one here. So it don't look as bad as the passenger side one. All right, let me rephrase that, fellas. So one side doesn't look as bad as the passenger side, but this side here looks terrible, man. It's completely blown out. So we're about to stab this thing up in there, man. I just wanted to show y'all before I set you down, these new control arms have a L and an R, a left and a right. Left driver's side, right is passenger side. I put my grease cert in now and tightened it up so I don't have to fight it when it's on the truck. So here we go, man. I'm just gonna set y'all down, get these lights put back in place, and get this up in there. There they are. 1 mount, 2 mounts. Y'all are in camera. All right. And I am putting the bolts back in the same spot that I got them out. Man, these things are heavy, dude. Jeez, please. And you gotta hit them, right? You gotta tap on them, guys.
Easier said than done. You gotta get it this way.
Yeah. All right, where's that hammer?
Yeah. There you go.
All right. And then also remember which way your bolts went through.
Oh, cool. Right on, man.
And then you just work your control arm. When it goes in, start on the other one. And it is easier to do one at a time.
Whoops.
Oh yeah. Well, here we go. So, And there it is. Now, here's the fun part. Well, it's not that bad. You just have to pay attention to what you're doing. You see how DIY Dad did that? He ran that around. Now, we'll get the slide nut here. This is where you need your wrench. You're gonna have to have your 5/16 wrench. DIY Dad and figured out on the last one, on the other side, this is something you have to work at. So where'd my other bolt go, Dad? Right there, here we go. So we're gonna put that on as we wanna keep tension. We wanna keep this in, right? And then we wanna work this in.
Talk about them cams being over.
And yeah, them cams, I mean, they are like super sensitive, man. They are right there being to where they have to slide in there. Where's my wrench? Keep losing my stuff here, fellas. And you might actually see, so with this one here, you're gonna have to line it up and then you gotta turn it, right? And it will eventually go past that lip right there. See that? See how it worked itself in there? Now we're in there. So that's a key note. You have to do that on both sides. And then once you get them in there, snug it up. Don't get crazy, right? You just want to hold it into place like that. Now we can work on the back side real quick and get to where we need to be with it. Back to the old hammer and the wrench, right? Get it in there like so and then roll it around. And you see, you have to hold your control arm up some. If your bolt's in a bind, pick your control arm up, right? See? Now, let's put our slide bolt on here. And I'm gonna have to say, I don't know what it is, guys, but that front bolt is a lot more difficult than the back bolt. Get my backing bolt right here. All right. So we're not quite there yet, but we're getting close. Well, we're way out. Hold on. We're not that far out. So let's go ahead and roll this back around, pick our control arm up so it'll roll, right? And it'll actually kind of hold it in place. That's pretty awesome. And then for the slide bolt right here, we're using 1.25 inches because you can move that a little bit without moving the whole thing. Right, and see, I just moved it a little bit and now my cam's going in, right? It's minor adjustments, fellas. You have to make them minor adjustments. Don't give up. If it's fighting you, hey, accept the challenge and move on with it. Now you see that my bolts are pretty close to being lined up, right? And they're snug. So at that point, guys, we're gonna have to get our spring, get it set in here, get our shock put back in here, mounted up. And then I gotta get my backing socket and ratchet here because I need to snug these caster bolts up so this thing don't swing as freely. And remember, hold this up. Put your foot under there and hold it up. right? You're not trying to get crazy with it, you're just trying to get it snug. Just like that. Put that there. See? And that gives you a little support there. So this is that notch I was telling you about for your spring. And this is the drain, so the hole should be there. Your spring will sit in there like that. You see how that end sits right in the end of that cup right there. So that's how you want it to sit. Okay, man, before you get your jack up underneath here, and no, we're not gonna, do not jack it up on your ball joint. That's just to keep enough tension because you have to get your shock in here. You want it to bolt up before you get all super crazy with it. Get your 13 mils. Oops, come off of that one. One there. Get them both started before you tighten either one of them up. And then just let the good times roll. Whoop. Kind of difficult, man. I'm doing it from the top side. We're doing it by feel. All right, those are tight. So with that, we're gonna set y'all back down here.
Hey, tell them the reason you want that shock up in there first, put that jack over it.
Oh yeah, that's a real good point. So the reason, that is one of the reasons why. So when you go to put your jack up under here, it's gonna hit that shock. If you don't have it in there, you're not gonna have a way to hold this together, right? So your shock holds your lower control arm to your shock mount, and then your spindle is what holds it on together, like your main support, so to speak. So now that we got that, we got the camera rolling, we got it right. Here we go. Let that thing down, Dad. Just pull that ball joint out of the way. Do not let it get crimped up in there. So you want to do this and you want to do it slow. You don't want to get in a big hurry. Right? You want to make sure you're being as safe as possible. You are dealing with a spring and you are putting it under pressure. Hold on, Dad. Hold on. Go back down. We need to hit right here. Remember the other side?
I thought that's after we compress it.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah. Yeah, while Dad's banging up that front bumper even more. Hit it, bud. Let's get it. So this is how we're going to do it. We're just gonna pump it up, right? Just like that with our jack underneath the shock. Then you're gonna line your top hole up here. Hold on, Dad, hold on. Let me get up here. All right, go ahead. We're gonna line our bolt up there. So this is how we have to do it. All right, so we had to, right, move the jack from being on the very bottom of the shock. It was controlling the shock. So now, we just put the washer and the nut back on top. We're gonna let the jack down and we're gonna get right here as close as we can to that ball joint. So we pick it up and compress that spring a little bit, right? And then we can get it in line. Go ahead. There it is. And we almost forgot our sway bar end link here. There we go. Just force that back in there. That'll line up as it comes up. So let's jack this bad boy back up. We're getting it right on the end, fellas. Whoop, whoop, hold on. All right, go ahead. Right there, yep. See how it compresses that spring, picks that control arm up versus picking the whole truck up. Go ahead, Dad.
It's picking the truck up.
Yeah, it's gonna.
Hell yeah, dude.
Watch out, watch out. Hold on, man. All right, give me 1 second. All right, so at the very end, you see where the jack placement is. I mean, you need to go up right beside your ball joint to get the most press out of it. Now, this here, a little tappy, it goes right in there, no issues. So, I got it started. It was a little pain, man. You got to work on it. So, at this point, we're just gonna run this back down. Now, remember how far it was ran down, right? That was my sway bar end link popping in. That scared me, man. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. That's that's nerve-wracking.
Danger.
So let me get this light going. We're gonna finish tightening this top of this shock mount up now that I'm done having the tar scared out of me. It's tight enough now. I'll get a wrench, hold a backup wrench on there. And then honestly, that was about 1.25 inches of thread sticking up. Just so you know, that's what I had. It seemed like the bushing's extremely crushed, but it was extremely crushed. So we got it completely tightened up. We're gonna drop the jack right now. Now we're gonna put my sway bar end link bolt back on. I mean, at that point, dude, it's just a matter of throwing our spindle back on. I mean, we're wrapping it up, guys, so just hang in there, buddy. I know it's been a kind of a long one. All right, guys, so we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna get this thing lined up. So, I mean, literally just put it back where you had it, right? So we got everything tightened up, it's torqued down, 150, marks dead on. So here we go, man. We're gonna throw these up here real quick. This is really not that bad of a part. This takes a little muscle. Probably got to get the right bolt. I mean the right nut. There it is. Get that on there like so. Make sure our ABS cable's out of the way. And I have to note, these upper ball joints are still really stiff, man, which is a good thing. I mean, y'all see I'm having to fight it. And if it's got that much tension on it, whew, wow, that took the breath out of me. If it has that much tension on it, make sure you get more than just one thread start. It'll rip that thing right off of there, man. So, Carter key. We'll slide this back together real quick. That'll keep from my spindle spinning all over the place when I tighten these up. Simple as that. 13/16 on the tie rod end. If you're lucky, it doesn't spin on you. So first, just take your hand and pop it down like so. You know, it's got a Carter key, so it doesn't have to be super tight. You don't have to get real crazy on it. You just want it to be tight enough that your pin will slide through there, right? Where is that hole? There we go, got some better light there. Where is that hole? Right there. Shoot, we're pretty much lined up right there. We're gonna go in right here. Nope, right there. Look at that, lined up. Bend your tab over, perfect. So with that, I'm gonna use the old end pad because I want these things tight. We're gonna do the bottom one first. We want it in there, baby. We want it to seat. So that's pretty much in there, guys. We'll hit it one more time. I don't think that's coming out, gentlemen. So I got to get my swivel. These swivels are crazy, man. And there it is, man. I mean, that's it, dude. Everything is tightened up. I mean, we're just gonna run through it. I'll pull off this brake caliper real quick. Get this bolt off of here. All right, grab this rotor. Don't touch your rotor surface if your hands are greasy, kind of like mine. We get situated here. Pull out that top bolt. We decompressed our pads just enough, see? That thing will slide right on there, man. Well, not right on there, but a little touchy. That rotor's fighting me, fellas, if you can't see. There we go, there we go. Now we got it. Now we're in there. We're gonna start our bottom one here. Get that going. It looks like I got brake fluid leaking from there. That's really not cool. Clip this back in. Push this back in right here. Plug your plug back in. I mean, we're just running through it, guys. Hold on, let's get it right. There it is. Plug it all the way in. Make sure your lock locks. There's that. Push it up in here. Whoop, that light's getting crazy. And then this is gonna be the fun part, because you gotta try to line that pin up. Just reach up in there and make it happen. Right, just like so. Here it is, dude, all bolted up. Everything's good, man. My marks are lined up there. So that's that, guys. Let me come over here. I'm gonna show you the other side here. Same thing. So with my leaking brake bolt, it was just loose. I tightened that up. As a matter of fact, we'll walk back over here and check it real quick. Look at that old Hemi. So there it is, it's not coming back. That's perfect. So guys, that's another great job on a Saturday, man. So that's how you change out your lower control arms on your 2009 Hemi Ram. There is a little bit of work involved, but it's not too bad, man. Being DIY dad's been at it. Hold on, let me rephrase that. DIY dad and I has been at it about 5.5 hours, maybe 5 hours. not too much. So, all right guys, man, I finally made it home, dude. We took the ride. It's only about 10 miles away, but I wanted to get you a little update on how the truck rode. So the truck actually rode fantastic, man. That steering is rock solid now. So I could tell that the wheels are fighting themselves. I am gonna have to go down and get a front end alignment. With them bushings being out the way they were, the ones that mount to the frame, I'm sure that it's not right now, because now everything's nice and secure in there. So I had to throw that in before we ended this video, man. Now with all that, y'all keep living the dream, doing y'all's thing. Like and subscribe always. Hit your boy up with a comment, and I'm rolling out.